What's going on, y'all? We are back for another week. Now, I keep telling y'all I'm gonna take a break from these. This is the most consistent I've ever been with these. Like when I say ever, I mean ever. And I keep saying I'm gonna take a break, but then I get here and I be like, I just keep doing them because people people keep signing up. So it's just like, well, let's just keep going. Um, and like I said, it's good content, especially for the off season, since I am not dropping any new episodes until what? I'm not dropping another new episode until April 10th, I believe. So, you know what I learned in this brief hiatus? What I learned is that to this day on my streams, like on like the podcast apps, to this day, the most streamed episodes are still episodes literally. That's why I'm all for, especially in the industry that I'm in, especially my guest that I'm about to introduce, who y'all seen before, creating evergreen content, because when you create evergreen content, even if you're talking about something relevant within the episode, when you create evergreen content, it's always going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's always going to be needed, and it's always going to be, it's content you can always have. So even though, yeah, you talked about it 5 years ago, it's still relevant because it's still stuff people are going through. And what I want y'all to understand and what I'm learning is that going into season 9, as crazy as that sounds, I going into season 9, I really, really, really want to, how you say, recreate some of the like magic, I guess you could say, from those earlier seasons, because in this season of my life, which if you haven't checked out my vlog, check it out, about going to Huntsville, Texas for my retreat I went to. Like I said, God, just my relationship with God has grown a lot, and just going back through the ideology of returning to self and returning back to the drawing board, so to say, in a lot of areas, not just with podcasts, and just in all areas of my life. And I think that that's for all of us this season, but I'm really seeing it with the podcast because, like I said, those episodes still are getting streamed to this day with the audio quality that ain't the best some cases, but those themes and those motives and those, all of that stuff is still relevant today. So that's what I'm gonna say. And one of the things that I'm gonna do is too, like, I'm gonna try to bring back old people from older seasons in season 9. And I'm gonna be utilizing redoing some reloads, like, when I do the little podcast album mixtape kind of thing, which, yeah, I know that those are good because I'm gonna just kind of revamp some old stuff. So y'all gotta be prepared for that. Like I said, we still in January, and I'm already preparing for season 9. So be ready for that. And the YouTube channel is booming too. I don't know if y'all have seen that, and it's booming without ads. But I'm gonna tell you now, I'm gonna start back running ads, because if Oprah is running ads and Travis Kelce podcast is running ads, there's no reason I don't need to be running ads. So yeah. All right. I'm done ranting. Well, we're gonna rant some more, but it's gonna be a positive rant. So recently, I just had this guest on my podcast for season 8. This is the second in-person interview of season 8, and only did 2 last season. We're gonna do a lot more for season 9. But this guy I met on Instagram, just being myself, just reaching out to people in the industry, and I'm seeing a young black man doing it. Happened to see he lived in St. Louis, being from the Detroit, so a lot of Midwest going on right there. Great guy. Like I said, I haven't known him for very long, but he's definitely a cool person and somebody that I'm glad I've connected with in this journey. And I actually have a bad habit of something I do, because I'm not perfect, but I have a bad habit of joking with people a little too early when they seem cool. Now, he was cool with it, but sometimes that's gotten me in trouble. But I have a bad habit when I be thinking people cool, I joke a little too early, and they don't know you yet. They're like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? And that's gotten me in trouble before. But actually, some of my closest friends I did that with back in the day, they actually wanted to fight me, and they didn't. They didn't want to do that though, but they. But anyway, back to what I was saying. this guy's doing a lot in the mental health space, as just similar to myself, where he's not an expert, but he's the person who's affected the most and is seeking answers publicly, differently than me, which is still needed because we do it in two different ways, which is good because it shows that multiple people can have kind of similar goals, but just go about it differently. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. Make sure if y'all haven't tuned into his podcast, y'all do that. We're going to introduce him, let him get to talking. My guy, what's going on?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
I am good. It is another Monday. Got a lot to talk about. So I'm glad to have you here in a different capacity, because this way that we're going about is a little different than the actual podcast. So
Right.
So again, obviously the people can see your name, and the people sure will remember you because you wasn't on that not too long ago. But can you tell the people what's your name, where you're from, and where you live now?
Absolutely. My name is Tavon Gibbs. I go by Tay. I'm the host, creator, producer of Talk With Tay podcast. Currently reside in St. Louis, Missouri, but I'm from Detroit, Michigan. So yeah.
All right, and tell the people what it is that you do.
So I'm a podcast host. My podcast is called Talk With Tay. I discuss topics centered around mental health and with a focus on grief. And I started this platform, after losing my mother and trying to really just unpack and have some hard conversations. So I spent a lot of time focusing on, just the mental health aspect in Black men and really just anybody. So that's kind of the journey that I'm on right now.
Now, so we did interview you already as far as what you did in the podcast and just giving just a brief, like, kind of recap of everything that you do. But since doing your podcast, can you just quickly tell us maybe one or two things you've learned from the episode that me and you did, and then just kind of where you are now with the podcast? And, because you're still currently in season. Do you do yours seasonally, right? Or is it like...
Yeah, I'm still in season 1 right now.
Yeah. So anything that you've learned or grown from since doing that episode, me and you did since then, because based on the narrative of the audience, they ain't seen you since, then. So yeah.
Really, I think the biggest thing that I've learned since then, which wasn't that long ago, probably like 2.5 months or something like that, but it's really focusing on having talking points now in my episodes and my dialogue. When I first created the platform, probably like 7 episodes in, it was really just all off the dome, all off, just heartfelt, just raw, which is fine, you know what I mean? But sometimes I would kind of go off subject too much, and I would kind of jump around. And when I did the interview with you, something I learned is just having key talking points. And it's okay to still be raw and authentic, you know what I mean? Just let it float, but really just making sure you're focusing on what you came to talk about, because it's easy to like just get off track and then start talking about some things that you probably should have not kept to yourself, but you probably didn't want to touch on at the moment. So yeah, that's the biggest thing I've probably learned so far.
It's interesting because, like I said, since my podcast inception, I've always had like a script or like an outline. You can call it whatever you want, right? But because I started my podcast, like I said, I don't know if you realize, in 2018. So this is before the podcast hype. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to avoid when I was doing my research back then, and even as podcast has progressed to what it is now, is I didn't want to be... Well, it's my show. I can say what I want. I didn't want to just have a show where niggas just talking. And, unfortunately, we see a lot of that in today's world, where it's just like people just get on the mics and just seem like they just say the first thing that come to mind: the wall white, the fly flying, oh, my girl cheated on my girlfriend, then next come up, talk about my cup is brown. And it's just like, what are we doing? And it's just like... And it's unfortunate because there are people who actually have great messages like us, and we get the attention, but unfortunately we don't get the and not saying we won't get main attention, because we will, but I'm saying we don't get, like, it wouldn't be... these type of topics are almost still kind of attacked, still kind of like shelved. And when I write my book, I'm always going to talk about the situation I had when I was going to a studio. And again, when I say this, because he might end up watching it, this was not shade. I take constructive criticism very well. It was like 2021, 2022, one of them. I think it was 2020, early 20 of them. And I remember talking about my podcast, and the man asked me, he said, do you feel like these topics or what you're talking, your target audience cares about what you're talking about? And I said 100% because, and then I broke it down, and then he ended up having me bring it up again in front of a group of people. And then some of them were just kind of like, well, like kind of like, well, I don't know about that. But like I said, we see Talk with Tay, we see Express Yourself Black Men, we see Nice and Neat podcast, we see Hardly Initiated, we see Men We Need to Talk podcast, another Houston-based podcast. So they do, because it's plenty of people doing it with big numbers and good feedback. So just throwing it out there. Okay, so now I don't want to rant too much, but we got some things we got to cover today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a post that I actually reposted on my story when I was getting the topics for the day. It was one that it was a few that I found, but it was one that really stood out to me. So I'm going to share my screen because I really, it's an Instagram post that was in my story. But how do I say this? I think it's something that it's getting overlooked. So, all right. So this is a picture on the left of Cooking with Kaya, and on the right is Aaron Pierre. That's Mufasa. So it says, with the picture of Cooking with Kaya, it says, men hyped her up, women got her TikTok shut down. Women hyped him up, men didn't care. And then the caption reads, can you it said, can you lock confirm? I guess that's typo. Is this how society reacted to both Cooking with Kaya and Aaron? And then if somebody commented, said nobody hates women more than women. And a lot of the people just kind of was like, you know, it's an argument in the things, but you know, we're gonna argue both sides of the ball. So let's get into that. All right. So let's get into the first segment for today, which is mirrors the actual podcast. What does this have to do with mental health? So, as I always do, recap the study of mental health. The definition is the study of how we act, think, and feel. So, as a man, you know, and this may be biased, but from a man's perspective, that's exactly what happened. And you know, and I really want the women to comment on this segment especially on TikTok, because I've been going crazy on there lately. But this man the girls was falling out over Aaron Pierre. Did you care about that?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what that's about. I know what the Cooking with Kaya girl is about, but I've seen him in that movie, that Netflix movie. It's not Mufasa, but it's some action movie. But I don't even know what happened. Like, you
basically, he's like, you know how every so often the new like crush will go around and girls always post them, and then he did with the famous, I guess you could say famous video, because you know how like the Jennifer Hudson show, they had like the tunnel you go down and they make a song for you.
Oh yeah. Okay, I did see a little bit of that, but I didn't watch it. So okay.
Yeah, it was just, they was just hyping him up and loving him, and you know, gassing him up, and you know, fangirling over him. And I don't think no man cared. But when it came to Cooking with Kaya, it was just like, and it's from a man's perspective, it's like all the women was like her food basic. She looked like a hoe. Y'all fantasizing over a 17-year-old girl. She like 23. And they like, oh, she's pandering to men because she say, you better cook for your man before I do. And it just caused, and then they found like old videos of her illicit videos, which it wasn't like she was be on YouTube corn star. She was just, they probably, if they were videos of her, I didn't see them, but if they were videos of her, they probably was her boyfriend at the time. Like they really tried to destroy this girl, and it was just like, what are y'all that mad for? So for me, it was just trying to understand why it happens, and it's just something that I learned many years ago. Men and women are wired differently. Now, I'm not trying to say that women be hating and men don't, or nothing like that, but what I am saying is, I feel like she caught unnecessary hate. What's your take on that?
I would have to agree. Unnecessary hate. Remind you, I don't, when things like that surface around, I don't spend too much time on it personally, but I did. I kept hearing it. I kept seeing it. And I'm just like, who is this girl? Like, what are they talking about? So I watched the video, and she was cooking and doing whatever she was doing. And I'm just like, I'm expecting more, right? I'm expecting her to act out or do whatever. they making it seem like, and I didn't see that, so I kept trying to like, okay, what's really going on here? And it was the same things that I kept seeing. So I'm like this is what's like top of mind for everybody right now. Like y'all trying to like do whatever y'all do to, assassinate a character for whatever, for whatever reason. I just didn't understand it, I'm gonna be honest with you. So that was like, it was just like what you say is a very valid point. Like it was just unnecessary to me.
Right. Now let's go to the next segment, which is WWID. What would I do in this situation? So obviously I think we had similar reactions. We wanted to see like what is the hatred behind this person. Yeah. Whenever the world hates somebody, I always go look into them. One of the most infamous personalities who the world hated and I decided to go look into was Candace Owens. Because for the longest, I heard people drag her, talk about her like a dog. Yeah. And here's the thing, I might get canceled. I don't agree with everything she say. However, it's a lot of stuff that she pushes. I'll be like, I don't know. I don't see what was wrong about what she said. But in the situation with the whole Aaron Pierre thing, if I think it's even different, and you a man, obviously. So say your girl was like always posting Aaron Pierre, and this is how we're gonna get it. She always posted Aaron Pierre in her story, and like, oh, I love him, and da-da-da. Mind you, y'all together. Yeah. How would you feel
if she always did it? Like, what's like?
Okay, so we ain't gonna say like every single day, but like, say it's like she just was like, I got a crush on him, and like will post him every so often, a comment on the video with him. You would just catch it. Would you feel away? Like, wow, we are.
No, I wouldn't feel away, shit, because I got a crush too, shit. So I mean, that's cool. You can, as long as they don't get too far. You know what I mean? Like some things, there's a limit. There's a line you can't cross, right? Regardless if that person is a celebrity or whatever. But shit, you feel me? I look at shit all the time too. So I got a crush. If my girl was to feel some type of way about it, I wouldn't care either. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would just say like it's whatever. But I wouldn't trip on it. As long as it don't, like I said, if it don't get out of hand, then we good.
So then, do you think that would have been the same reaction if you had a crush on Cooking with Kaya?
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
I probably would have been single, or you feel me? I would have, I don't know. Yeah, it would have definitely been a total different story though. It would have been some problems, like real problems.
I don't care what nobody say. I believe this lady has a ghost marketing team. I don't care what nobody say, because I believe that she had a ghost marketing team and they did a good job. And if they didn't, and she just went viral, then cool. But I believe in, like I said, I seen the food. It looked good to me. People, I'm telling you, women was picking that lady food apart, saying I can make that. That's basic. She looked like a whole. I was just like, y'all just letting this little girl have it for what? Because she said she'll take your man. Well, clearly he done been took before.
And I feel like that's, she's saying something that all women say, or like, that's a stereotype. That's a stigma. Like y'all all talk the same. Y'all all, if y'all want to be, y'all probably want it. She made a lot of people want to go do that, go cook and do whatever she was doing in the kitchen. So I mean, that's something that y'all would have done if y'all would have never seen her at some point. You know what I'm saying? Or at least thought about it. So I just feel like, it was just, I don't know. It was just unnecessary for real.
So then, and I'm gonna ask this, and I'm sure it's gonna be the same reaction. So what if Aaron Pierre was dancing like he was coming down the tunnel, like, and they're like, "That's Mufasa," and he was like, "Yeah," and Mufasa finna come get your girl. Would you be like, "Don't look at the screen"?
that shit wouldn't faze me, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd just be like, shit. And he probably could go get somebody, girl. Shit, probably mine. But who knows?
WWJD, what would Jesus do? So in this situation, what is the most ethically, morally correct thing to do? Again, I think that if somebody has a crush, let them have a crush. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, like you said, as long as you don't get too disrespectful, right, and all of that, which some people do, because there are situations, you've heard about where I remember in what was it, 2013 in St. Louis, and I remember Chief Keef came to was it the Ambassador? He came somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And he and this dude's girlfriend went backstage with Chief Keef. And Chief Keef posted on Instagram or tweeted, I can't remember, that if anybody came backstage, they was with Glow Gang and we had a good time. Something to that extent. I'm
I
paraphrasing.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't even living like here at the time. I do remember that. Yeah.
And somebody said, your girl got thrashed by Chief Keef. And I was like, oh.
Hey, it happens for sure.
So I think that in the case of what is the ethically, morally correct thing to do as far as a man, if you do have a crush, and if you see that cooking with Kaya is bothering your girl for whatever reason, then maybe you could say, you know, I won't watch her no more. Or, you know, you did see those videos. It was like, when my girl leave and I can finally turn her back on. But I would just ask to the women if basically an imaginary person is bothering you, I would have to ask you what is the root of that. I was just want to ask that. But I as a respect as a man, I was just saying, the girl feel away, maybe you could just like, all right, I won't watch it because it bothers you. But I would still want to unpack what's the root of that. And then WSMD, what should men do in this situation? Exactly what I just said. And you know, I don't, because I'm not going to encourage you to be sneaky and say, well, watch it when she leaves, because that's not cool either. Because if you do little stuff with that, it only get worse. It'll snowball, and you start doing other stuff. And, you know, just I wouldn't do that. But any other suggestion you would suggest that men do in this situation before we go to the next topic?
Nah, man, just be solid in the foundation if you got one. That's all I say, man. If it don't get out of hand, just laugh at it, bro. Because you feel me? You didn't went to the store and seen something that you didn't look at. You know what I'm saying? So it's all like, I think it's a thin line between it. So just, you know, don't take it too serious as long as it's all fun and games, in my opinion. So yeah, don't let it get to you too much.
All right, good stuff. All right, let's go to the next topic. So Royce Reed, who is Dwight Howard's first baby mother, ex-girlfriend, and she was on the show Basketball Wives for a bunch of seasons, has been on a, I'm not going to call it a rampage, but she has been on a spree of speaking her truth as to what has happened. As you know, in these segments, I don't give what I believe happened because I want people to have their own opinions. But she's been on a rampage. She was on recently on Cam Newton's podcast, and a lot of people were disappointed in Cam for having her on because the narrative has pushed that she's lying, you know, because Dwight Howard does have a public persona, and then, you know, apparently he has another one, you know, that's just, you know, but he's now been since remarried, and he actually made a post recently, I guess, subtly responding to her and just the haters in general. And it says, about to drop the first positive diss song ever. Yep, me and my wife, Amy Luciani, world about to inspire all of our enemies. No shade. Pray God heals their hearts. All right. Let's get into the first segment again. What does this have to do with mental health? So I could understand from Dwight's point of view as a man for him to not respond. What's going on? And let me know what you think about this the White House situation, because like I said, I'm gonna keep my comments, you know, as politically correct as possible. So basically, he's responding to the haters. He's in a state of saying, you know, I'm tired of people dragging my name, you know, allegedly, if it's true or not, you know, he's tired of that. He's tired of getting his name dragged, and he says he's going to write the first ever positive diss track. I ask you, do you think there's a such thing as a positive diss track?
A positive diss track. I think so. Maybe I think it could be a positive diss track.
Do you think he's capable of making that?
I ain't never known Dwight Howard to make music, so I don't know.
Okay, so when it comes to mental health and this aspect, and this keeps coming up with these people in the industry, and I will never tell nobody how to feel in a situation when you're constantly being attacked. I will say this because we have to get both sides of the ball. If everything she's saying is true, then I mean, you know, I'm the type, I said this before on this live stream. If it's true, I'ma just say, you know what, the jig is up. But see, a lot of people will keep being like, no, that didn't happen. But if she is lying, I could understand why you want to make this positive diss track, you know, because it's like, I'm tired of you lying on me. And I've been in situations before where people have been lying, but my take on that is, you know, which I've been in situations before, it's gonna come out that it's a lie. Even if people don't believe it, it's gonna come out later it's a lie. So, you know, hopefully if she is lying, you know, if
right,
then it'll come out and then he'll be able to just be like, see, she lied. But you know, at this point, it's just like we're in a season of exposure. 2024 started it, and we see it's been continuing on into 2025. So a lot of these people, Cat Williams started it January last year, and it's just been a downward spiral for these people. So I just want to send out another message. If you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, just know your last day, your warning season is kind of coming to an end. If you you know, what would I do in this situation? WWID. So I'm gonna start with you. So I'm gonna give you first. So you getting dragged by an ex baby mama for making all these claims about you. You know, you're saying you didn't do it. Now we're not gonna say whether or not you did or didn't, but you're saying this person is lying. This person is just a lunatic. Would you even respond with a positive diss track? Or you're a podcaster, so would you maybe make an episode about it or a passive aggressive episode about it? How would you respond in a situation like that?
I probably would make an episode about it, but it wouldn't be. I don't think I will make it about my situation, me and this ex situation. I would just talk about the center of the topic and kind of talk about, you know, why things like that happen. Like, you know what I mean? Because you don't know who's lying, who's telling the truth. If he did do whatever she say, you know, that's on him. But for me, I wouldn't really respond, you know, direct. I would just talk about, again, the situation and how it transpires and like what comes with it and what comes from it. You know what I mean? So that probably would be my approach, because if I didn't do something, even if I did, you know what I mean, if somebody want to go to the internet about it, that's cool. People, you know, it's a free world after it hit the internet. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has an opinion on it. Anybody can take it one way or another. But yeah, that's probably my approach.
Okay. So now was how I would respond to that. If here's the, so we're gonna get both sides of the ball, right? If I didn't do it, I would literally, if I didn't do what they accused me of, I personally would just let them have it. If I did, I actually said something similar to that. Like, I might do an episode about it, but it wouldn't necessarily be a response to the person. It would just more so be using this as a point of reference and a topic. Now, if I did do it, I'm the type, honestly, if something's coming out about something that I actually did, I'm just not gonna keep publicly lying. I'm gonna just be like, you know what? You could just come out and say, hey, y'all, this was something I did back in the day. Even if you lying again, just own it and just be like, hey, I did do it. You got me. Dang, you know what? I was at a bad time in my life. Because say you blame it on the drugs. You could blame it on, you know, say you found God. You know, that's what you could do.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging people to lie, but what I'm saying is, if you did do it, more so come back from the angle of, you know what, I had a moment. I'm at a different place in life.
Yeah, own up to it and just keep it pushing.
Now, WWJD, what would Jesus do? So in this situation, the ethically, morally correct thing to do would be to own it. But in the same breath, if you are being lied on and you are being attacked, I think a lot of times we think that we're always just supposed to be silent in attacks like that. And sometimes there are times that you are supposed to, but there are times where you might be called to respond back. But when you respond back, that don't mean get on Instagram Live screaming, spitting, and hollering either. And I don't believe that always means to write a positive diss track. I think that's an oxymoron. I don't think that exists, because if you're doing the passive aggressive version, like I said, I haven't heard the song. I do want to listen to it. Where you're gonna be saying something like, I pray God touches your heart. Like then that's manipulating the scripture at that point. You just trying to be, that's not okay to be like, I hope he heals you because you're hurt. Like. I got into it with somebody one time many years ago, and they interpreted something I did wrong. And I remember they were just telling people, he's a hurt person, hurt people, and I'm gonna just pray God heals his heart. He's just so hurt. And I'm just like, first of all, I'm not hurt. But secondly, I was just like, I said at that point, you're not gonna pray for me. You're just saying that to people because it sounds good. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pray for him because he's just, he lost. And it's just like, so if you're actually gonna say you're gonna pray for somebody, actually do it. But I've been in a situation like that, and it did. But I mean, I wasn't doing what he was doing. Let me throw that out there. I was not doing what he was doing. I was not doing that. It just was, it was some podcast stuff. But that's a long time ago. And then WSMD, what should men do in this situation? I think this is a lesson too, when you get to watch who you getting comfortable with. A lot of us get too comfortable with some people, to people that we've gotten the discernment that we shouldn't be that comfortable with. And we decide to do these things anyway. And now you in these predicaments because you done got too comfortable with them. And now y'all have a bad falling out, and now they dragging you publicly.
Yeah.
So, in reality, I mean, Royce, she hasn't been known to be a liar yet. I don't know. This could maybe be her first time lying. I don't know. But what I will say is, it's all gonna come out. So that's all I got to say about the whole Dwight Howard situation. And if any of y'all thinking about writing a positive diss track about anybody or just a diss track in general, you might say remove the positive. We just dissing. I would say maybe no. I was gonna say take the Drake approach, but no, I can't do that. If you're gonna make a diss track, then you better make it a hit, and it better hit too. It better be, you better hit your target. You better not miss. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right.
Anything you want to add to that before we go to the final topic?
Nah, nothing I want to add to that, man. People should just keep their business off the internet and watch who you get close to. Watch who you tell people things about. That's it for real.
All right, so the last topic today, we actually have a video. So DJ Akademiks was apparently caught trying to groom a 15-year-old. Did you hear anything about this?
I did hear about that.
Okay, so we're gonna watch the video of what he said. I actually have let's just get to it. And this is from YDR YouTube channel as he was recapping it. So we're gonna just watch the quick little
I got little brothers, I got little sisters. I've never had no kind of weird question like this or weird conversation like this with any of them. But yet Akademiks is going to later frame this kind of conversation as normal, talk you have with your little bro. Nah.
Imagine.
Yo, Nor, what's your address? I'm gonna send some strippers over there.
Slow down, yo. I'm 15. I hope you know that, bro. You trying to
get a woman, bro.
I'm not getting on it. Yo, bro, you trying to put me on a case. You trying to put them on a case.
So?
What you mean so? That's weird.
Trying to look out.
And what is also so nasty is that these are the same type of dudes. If you had them in a one-on-one conversation, they bashing OnlyFans models. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about how degenerate and worthless women are these days. Yet here they are trying to push some kind of sexual degeneracy on a little kid. Like, what the fuck? This is so nasty, bro.
All the rappers lost their virginity to like old women, right?
Like, that's what was that supposed to be a good thing?
So you told me that there's not another 15-year-old that you could bust out?
Why do you care? And some tells me DJ Akademiks was still very much a virgin when he was 15 years old. Why is he so pressed about this little kid, this little boy having sex? It's weird, bro.
Yo, bro.
Like, I have a little brother. He's 18 years old, and I wouldn't have this kind of conversation with him. And he's above the age of consent. Why are you pressing any young dude to be getting in the streets with these gutter harlots, huh? Right? Isn't the ideal thing that all of our little brothers and all that go find themselves a nice, good girl that they can settle down with and marry?
All right. Let's get into the first part. What does this have to do with mental health? I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not condoning what he did. I think it was a joke, went too far. However, it was still one of those horrible landing jokes. It was one of those. It was one of those ones where you're like, you shouldn't have said it, and you forgot who you are. And I'm just giving him some grace as far as that. Like I said, I'm not condoning that. That's inappropriate, because if it was my little brother, cousin that he did it with, I'd be like, because you could tell that boy was uncomfortable. Like, and he just kept going with it. Like, bro, I'm gonna just send him over there your way. And I think maybe in a weird way, DJ Akademiks wish he could have had somebody do that for him at 15. What's your take on it?
Yeah, that boy was definitely uncomfortable. Like you said again, I feel like he kept pushing it. Like, if you're gonna say, hey, I'm about to strip to your house, and he just, he respond the way he do the kid, just leave it at that, bro. Man, and that's still too far. Just a little bit, bro. But this person in the video, DJ, he has a reputation for being like that. So anything he says now is always, you got to watch it. You got to pay, closer attention to it. So I don't know. I feel like he shouldn't have pressed it, even further with it, because the little boy made it clear, like, I ain't on that, bro. Like, chill. You know what I mean? He gets talking about some other stuff about rappers having sex with older men. Not older men, older women, like their first time or whatever. So I'm like, he want to talk about something like that even more. So he just, if that boy would have let him push, he probably would have, that conversation would have went crazy. I don't know.
And then he never said, I'm playing. And even though it's still inappropriate, and like Ant just said in the comments when he said that he was pressing too hard, like after he said he went on it, even really after the second one, I would have let you slide the first one. After the second one, it's like, okay, he ain't on that, change the subject, and you just kept on going. And it's just like, and in his mind, I really believe he think he was doing a good deed. He probably looked like, just being honest, he probably looking at him like, oh, he a little lame. Let me, send some his way to, brighten his day or something. It's like, no. And you know what? We got to extract this principle here. There are so many older men like that I grew up around and just would hear them say stuff, and they would say comments like that, like, we'll get a little prostitute, a little strip or something so you can lose your virginity. And that's like, that's not okay.
Yeah, right.
And that's actually a bigger problem at hand, because it's a lot of our daddies and grandpas and uncles who think that that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't heard the barbershop. I mean, you've been in barbershop before. You hear them barbershop conversations, and you like, and we looking back like that's not okay.
You'll be surprised what you hear, man. It'd be some people, like you said, people think it's normal, the stuff that they be going on. I'll be looking like, sometimes I keep to myself about a lot of shit, but yeah, I hear some crazy stuff before. So
what would I do in this situation? Now, it's one of the parts of the show where we don't necessarily go into that, because I would never do that. I know you would never do that. But let's say in a situation where I am saying something and I'm pressing an issue that I can see is making a person uncomfortable, or pressing an issue where I can see this person is like, I don't want to do that. Like, no. So for me, if I'm saying something, a great example would be in podcasting, right? Mm-hmm. Where you maybe, I know with me, I'll ask a question and I can kind of gauge like if a person kind of wants to keep going, or they kind of like, nah, I'm cool. Like, you can tell by kind of their reaction, like, right, just let's move on. And so you have to be able to read the room and read the room. What I think that's an issue in today's society. People don't know how to read the room.
Yep.
And as DJ Akademiks, who've been doing this interview stuff you know, one of the OGs, we could even say in the game, you know, with content creation, it's like you still doing this kind of stuff. This is like rookie stuff.
Yeah.
In this situation, like I said, and I've been in a situation before where I might have asked somebody something and it kept trying to almost pry and you know, it backfired horribly. And I know this wasn't his first time doing that. So it's just kind of like, you know, in this situation with you, because you're very, you know, calm, cool, collected kind of guy, but you are a podcaster as well. So have you ever been in a situation where you asked somebody something that you could tell they didn't want to talk about?
Yeah, most definitely. I would probably say, you know, every time I had a guest, there's been a few things that I've touched on and, you know, kind of asked, and you can just tell by the response, you know, that they didn't want to elaborate further. So whenever I do pick up on that, you feel me? I just, you know, I kind of ease on to the next thing or just kind of add my own stance or whatever the, you know, the dynamic is of that, but I don't push it any further or make it, you know, super uncomfortable because the question, you know, unintentionally, right, was already uncomfortable for him. So that was probably, I make sure that I'm aware of that all the time because you never know what that can do to a person like in real time. So
Definitely. WWJD, what would Jesus do? So first of all, Jesus wouldn't have been in that situation. However, let's flip it here. What if he was in the situation of the little boy? What if you were in a situation? Let's flip it. What if you were the one in a situation where somebody was clearly pressing you about something that made you uncomfortable? How would you respond to that?
Me?
Yeah. And has that happened to you?
Oh yeah. That's happened. Yeah, that's happened plenty of times, bro. Like, you know, just for a little background, me playing baseball, man, I've had to, you know, be around a certain race, you know, a lot throughout my life, right? Because of that sport. And there's been plenty of times things have been said to me or questions have been asked, you get what I mean? And it's been super uncomfortable and whatever it was, you know, I'm not gonna get too much into that, but me, I just stay quiet, you know what I mean? I'll sit back and observe, like, is this person really, like, you really taking it there? But I ain't gonna lose my cool and nothing, but you feel me? I'm gonna always keep a mental note of it and just move accordingly after that, though.
So let's play devil's advocate. So they see you get quiet. They pull a DJ Akademiks. They keep pushing. Then what? Do you steadily like you could see me? I would take it like they getting quiet, like I get off that, they ain't on that. But you steadily going. They steadily going. Because basically at this point they poking. Right. What's the next reaction? Because because you seem like it's always the quiet ones that when they turn up, it can be fatal in some cases. Not saying you're gonna kill nobody, unalive nobody, but I'm just saying it will go to the point where they be like, I wish I shouldn't have did that. What happens in a situation where you are getting pressed, poked, picked? You know, if we go back to Jesus, you know, that happened to him right before he got on the cross. But are we supposed to always take it, or are there some times we're supposed to react?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, and I wouldn't even call it like taking it. I would just say it's realizing, like, you feel me? So this person on some weird ass shit. Like, you gotta let them have that, because I'm not about to step into that ring with you. But there is a time to react for sure and say something. Like, I'll check a motherfucker in the most, you know, the most humble and calm way and let them know, like, you tripping, like, you feel me, like, go on somewhere with that shit, like, this ain't what we doing, you know. And sometimes that's what it takes for people. You got to react a certain way and then they'll understand. But again, it's all about reading the room. But yeah, you can definitely, it's a time to react and it's a time not to. But as long as they don't get physical and nothing like that, then, you know, you got to play it cool for the most part. That's just me, though.
I think it is. There are ways, and there are healthy ways where you can respond. Like, you know, even though the boy did respond, he wasn't just mute. He was like, "Yeah, no, right. I'm not on that." You know, you could, I mean, there's ways you could respond like how he did, just say, you know, hey, you can stop now. You taking it too far. You could say that. You could also maybe even in some ways, maybe even, you know, respond back, which is goes to the next segment. What should men do in this situation? Respond back with a joke. What if old boy would have said, like, he was like, I'm gonna send some strippers your way. Like, he just kept everything he said back to him. Then it would have been on some like, it would have ended early because now everybody confused, like, what you talking about? You know, it would have just, it would have been on some stupid stuff. So if you want to play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And he could have went that way too. Now, like I said, there are ways to be stern about. Like I said, I'm just giving y'all the different ways you could do it. You know, you can do the stern way of like, hey, bro, chill out. I'm not on that. Change the subject. You can play back with a joke. You go on mute. You could just do that too. But I think you have to find what works best for you. But in this situation, I think that the best thing to do was what the boy did, because he kept his cool even as a 15-year-old boy. And then it still got flipped back on DJ Akademiks because now you look like the pervert and now you're getting called grooming. So them allegations, even if they're not true, and do I believe you were technically trying to groom him? No. But those type of titles that get put on you, they hard to shake. People, brands will cut deals with you for stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. That kid handled that pretty well too. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like he was real stern in his response. You know what I mean? And it goes back to saying like it's a certain way to respond every time. You know what I mean? It doesn't always have to be, you know, it's levels, it's notches to it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'll end off with, you know, if you are in a situation like that, like I said, I gave y'all some scenarios on what to do. But also, if you do find yourself in a situation where you are both sides, if you are being a person that, you know, read the room, the person clearly ain't on it, change the subject, like just let them have it. Because if they turn up on you, then what?
Yeah.
You know, or what if you do say something to the wrong person, you didn't think they was on it and they hit you, now what? Now you like, what you doing all that for? But
yeah.
Also, if you're in the opposite seat and you are getting pricked and poked and somebody's trying to get a reaction out of you, they want a reaction. So keep that in mind too. Whatever you decide to do, just know they 9 times out of 10 want to see you turn up. So don't give them that satisfaction if, you know. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so that is all for this week. Now, so because as I told y'all, each week since I got over 1 million episodes, and I won't be dropping a new episode until April, like the second week of April at that, each week we'll be recapping an old episode. So last week we went back to season 5. The last 2 weeks we were in season 5, and then this week we're actually going back to season 7, which is season 7, episode 9, which is an episode called "Take Action Now, Starve Your Inner Negativity Beast." With starve your inner negativity beast. Don't feed the trolls. And this features my boy Mike Jenkins, and we'll be recapping that episode with clips all the way up until obviously Sunday. So if you haven't even tuned into the episode or you want to rewatch it, it's currently on YouTube now, but we'll be replaying the clips, of course, all week. Anything you got coming up you want to pub? Anything you got going coming up?
Yeah, man, be dropping episodes weekly on my platform, Talk With Tay podcast. I took a little break. I got sick around the holidays, so I'm getting back in the space of dropping consistent content. But yeah, man, I got 2, most recent episodes out around centered around Black men and mental health stigmas. Yeah, go check that out. And yeah, I got another episode dropping this Saturday. So yeah.
And you drop every Saturday or?
Yeah, every Saturday.
Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you again for tuning on. Thank you for jumping in for this week. And y'all make sure y'all tune in. Be prepared to recap that episode and pay attention to my LinkedIn. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And remember, I love us.